So this is the target we use. Can you guys?
Yeah.
So it's a simple box, right? So you start out doing like box number 3, 5 rounds. Then you'll move to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you'll move to maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you'll move to, I'll call out like 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, and it's all trying to stay on that same cadence or split time that you're getting those hits. And it's just there's like a reduced A zone box. So that's where I was trying to get to the unpredictable of it. Of like I can call out numbers and you still got to think and shoot and do things. And to me, it's not the end of the or like, you know, like what I say, you're fucking wrong, or I mean, it's not like this is just what I have found, and it has worked for several people that I've trained. I get time that last week, man, that cadence thing really worked for me of slowing it down and doing it, and I burned old boy down. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's still great things to me.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you guys get them on. I'm sure you guys get them on your end too. It's not like don't ever train with Matt Pranka. He's gonna get you killed. Like that's crazy. Like it's just.
I routinely get people killed in the streets. If you haven't known that, like that's like I don't necessarily agree with that. Right? I think that's like for me personally, like that is training that I did in the '90s, in the early '90s. Shoot the boxes, you know. We still got to think what guys are doing is they're thinking about the number you call. The dudes that shoot those drills, the shooting doesn't run in the background, which ultimately that's the goal, right? I just need the shooting to happen, right? So in order to do that, I have to strip away all of the bullshit, right? This is something that has happened, you know, in the soft military world. How we trained in the '90s was different than in the early 2000s, and then at different levels, it's just different. And the guys that are doing this at the highest levels aren't shooting those colored targets or the box and numbers and stuff like that because it was the color, right? The yellow triangle, you call all this shit out.
Yeah, oh yeah,
right.
100%.
That's outcome based training for it's really like it's shooting training for guys who can't shoot.
Right. For me, that was just a cheap man's mover that I can put up on a single backer, and you're not wasting a bunch of. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like the most realistic thing.
I agree.
I'm just trying to get you to drive the gun a little bit.
I agree with that, right? But like, so for my target transitions and shooting a mover are completely different things, right? And what you're trying to do with that is different, right? What you're training somebody to do, if you're calling target transition shooting movers, is to trap targets, which is the worst strategy for shooting a moving target, right? You don't ever trapping a target falls apart really quickly as soon as you move, you know, with a pistol outside of 10 yards, with a rifle, you know, outside of 20.
Right. I'm not saying trapping him, but
no, but that's really like what it is.
Helping me do those boxes is helping you almost do like, you know, it's like JJ Rakaza calls like a bump position. Like I don't want you back on box number 1 because box number 1's gone. So like I want you working in between those bump transitions, in between targets.
Yeah. Yes, and I agree with that, right? However guys describe it, you know, I think we're probably all in agreement that third sight picture, the follow through, you know, in multiple targets or track, that's got to go away. That it's not a thing anymore. It was a bullseye strategy to fix mistakes that were going to happen with trigger press by giving you something to do after the trigger press in terms of consistency. I think there's better ways to explain that now. But if you watch anyone, the gun is going to do its thing and be back in battery before dudes can come off the target most of the time, right? Unless you're dragging it off the target. So I understand the word, and this is where I think the words matter, right? The idea like, hey, I'm gonna bump when it lifts. Like how many guys do you see now that are programmed to transition where they're on a target and they go to the next target and they move the gun like this?
Oh,
You
tons.
watch it all over
That's like,
for
to me,
fucking
that's like,
the
yeah, like
but
that's like a
that but
key. Like for me, that's like dudes like tracking through their sights. Like they do like they either do a smiley face or like a rainbow to get over
It's like
there.
simulating recoil and dry fire. It's the
Yes.
same shit. Guys are like, and now I'm over
yeah,
here
yeah.
because they were.
And in reality, if you put this on a camera and you slow it down, the gun's back, the back and flat, it's in that wobble phase where it just needs to move, from here to here. It doesn't need
Yeah.
to do this.
Right.
And,
It needs to go laterally, straight line.
yeah, and that's where I think it's, so I understand like, you shoot the targets, it's a way to like logistically, it's easy. Everybody's got one target, you got a bunch of scoreable zones. But what I would challenge is that we go back to like the application of this. Like you're you're almost you're not visually doing anything with that target. The target's so damn noisy, you're almost forcing dot focus, right? If you look at what's going on that target, right, based off what I saw, there's three
Yeah.
colors, right? There's a black, there's a white, and there's a gray,
Yeah.
right? The target's noisy as fuck, right? That's like the gun sight targets that they shoot that are like camouflage silhouettes.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. Yeah.
purposefully make those noisy so you stare at the front sight post. So you're giving guys something very visually irritating and distracting to look at, and probably never talking about visual precision, right? Where now, if we talk about visual precision in terms of a target that moves after it's been hit, that's what we're trying to achieve, right? And in my opinion, there's better ways to do it. I want you to look to the point you want to shoot, and as the target changes attitude, you look to a different point. If you're now trained and programmed to where your training pace is so fast and aggressive, super nasty, predictive, and doing a lot of different things, bills and doubles and all that, and then now you're applying a reactive shooting engagement strategy where I'm tying a sight picture to every trigger press. Now the only discussion we can have is how fast can I see acceptable? Because I've already programmed the visual precision it takes to shoot very, very aggressively. Now at some point, you got to do something that nobody wants to ask him to do. You need to be a professional and have some operational maturity and learn how to apply this stuff in the context of whatever you're in. And I think that by tightening up vision stuff, right? And a lot of it has to do. I just had this conversation with Kyle DeFore and Bill Blowers. We were throwing B8s up on IPSCs with white backers. And once I explained it to him, that is the noisiest fucking target on the planet, right? It's a white backer with a brown IPSC on it, a tan bordered repair center with black circles and white rings. And you're telling me to look through all that shit and be really visually precise? No, every two different types of guys, they look to the black circle or they look to the white, the color contrast between the repair center and the IPSC.
Right.
And I think if you remove all those distractions, you can get a better outcome with what you want guys to do on the vision side in terms of aiming. And dude, that's the cognition piece of shooting, right? Is what I see acceptable. Now I'm programmed to tie acceptable sight picture to a trigger press.